शुद्धस्फटिकसङ्काशं शुद्धविद्याप्रदायकं शुद्धं पूर्णं चिदानन्दं सदाशिवमहं श्रये शङ्खारूपेण मच्चित्तं पङ्कीकृतमभूद्यया किं करीयस्य सामाया शङ्कराचार्यमाश्रये सदाशिवसमारम्भां शङ्कराचार्यमध्यमाम् अस्मदाचार्यपर्यन्तां वन्दे गुरुपरम्परां भारतीकरुणापात्रं भारतीपदभूषणं भारतीपदमारूढं भारतीतीर्थमाश्रये विद्याविनयसम्पन्नं वीतरागं विवेकिनं वन्दे वेदान्ततत्त्वज्ञं विधुशेखरभारतीं मालासुधाकुम्भविबोधमुद्रा विद्याविराजत्करपारिजाताम् अपारकारुण्यसुधाम्बुराशिं श्रीशारदाम्बां प्रणतोऽस्मि नित्यम् Om. Today we will continue with the topic of bhakti. We saw in the last session, we saw the first definition, first meaning of bhakti as described in our scriptures. The second meaning of bhakti is the course of discipline in order to accomplish the highest goal of human life, which is spiritual goal, moksha or freedom. To convey the idea of bhakti as a course of discipline, the word yoga is added as a suffix to bhakti. So bhakti is bhakti yoga, means bhakti is a course of discipline for attaining moksha. In Bhagavad Gita 12th chapter, this title of the chapter itself is Bhakti Yoga. What is Bhakti Yoga? What course of discipline is indicated by the word Bhakti Yoga? If you remember our previous talks, we have dealt with the threefold course of discipline for attaining all four purusharthas, human goals. While talking about the threefold course of discipline, we discussed about karma yoga, upasana yoga and jnana yoga. We never talked about bhakti yoga. So the question is, what do you mean by bhakti yoga as a course of discipline? Is it a fourth course of discipline? Is it a fourth yoga? Our answer is Bhakti Yoga is not an exclusive course of discipline at all. But Bhakti Yoga is the name given for the entire three groups of yoga, three group of discipline consisting of all three yoga. That is, Bhakti Yoga is the name given for the threefold course of discipline put together. That is, Karma Yoga, Upasana Yoga, Jnana Yoga put together is called Bhakti Yoga. If you want, we can say Bhakti Yoga, that is Karma Yoga as the first stage of Bhakti Yoga. And then the second stage of Bhakti Yoga is Upasana Yoga. The last stage of Bhakti Yoga we can say Jnana Yoga. It is one consisting of all three yoga. Karma Yoga plus Upasana Yoga plus Jnana Yoga is Bhakti Yoga. In other words, we can also say Karma Yoga Rupa Bhakti Yoga, Upasana Yoga Rupa Bhakti Yoga. Rupa means in the form of, Bhakti Yoga in the form of Karma Yoga, Bhakti Yoga in the form of Upasana Yoga, or Bhakti Yoga in the form of Jnana Yoga. So there is no fourth separate course of discipline called Bhakti Yoga. Why do we call these three commonly as Bhakti Yoga? Why not we separately discuss, separately disclose as Bhakti Yoga as a separate chapter? The answer is, Bhakti Yoga is the common name for all the three courses of discipline, because in all these three courses of discipline, bhakti is the underlying principle. It is the common atmosphere in which all these three courses of discipline are practiced. Karma yoga has to be ingrained, has to be infused with bhakti. Upasana yoga should be soaked in bhakti, and jnana yoga must float in the syrup of bhakti. Without bhakti, there is no yoga. There is no karma yoga, upasana yoga or jnana yoga without bhakti. Bhakti is the underlying common principle for all these three. In karma yoga, we already saw, if you remember, we already discussed. Karma yoga means what? Proper action with proper attitude. The attitude that one enjoys is that of dedicating all his actions for Ishvara and accepting the result, karma phalan, without resistance, all consequences of actions as Ishvara prasada. How can there be a karma yoga without Ishvara arpana bhavana while doing actions, and Ishvara prasada bhavana while receiving the karma phalan or the result for our actions? Therefore, a karma yogi should necessarily have bhakti. When should a karma yogi have bhakti? All the time. There is no need for any doubt. Every action he is doing should be soaked in bhakti, and also when he receives the phalan, that is the result of his action, he must receive as Ishvara prasada. Without bhakti towards Ishvara or God, there cannot be karma yoga. In upasana yoga, we have to meditate upon Bhagavan, Lord, for developing mental discipline and integration. This also we saw. How can I meditate upon God without having bhakti? We said manasa puja, manasa japa, manasa parayana, or different forms of upasana yoga. Here everything is centered around God, bhakti. Without bhakti, no upasana yoga. In the modern days, there may be a lot of meditation centers, meditation camps, meditation courses available, but they may carefully avoid religion, God, because nowadays it is for the modern people, it is allergic, it seems. So they don't introduce the word God, and they prescribe a lot of meditation, concentration power. You keep looking at the flame, you keep looking at the crystal and all those. It may be called meditation by people, but in our scriptures, it is not a yoga, it is not upasana yoga. So whatever is done with Bhagavan, when you meditate upon God, it is upasana yoga. What about jnana yoga? Jnana yoga also involves bhakti. Before we start any class for jnana yoga, shravanam, we tell prayer. Even at the time of conclusion, we tell a prayer. Not only that, in jnana yoga, we are inquiring into our own real nature, discovering the identity of our real nature with the nature of God. Hence, jnana yoga involves self-discovery. Self-discovery is nothing but Bhagavan's Swarupam, God discovery. Therefore, jnana yoga also involves self-discovery, which is none other than God discovery. Therefore, jnana yoga also involves bhakti. So, the second meaning of bhakti is the entire course of spiritual discipline. Karma yoga plus upasana yoga plus jnana yoga, all three put together is bhakti yoga. At no time this person is away from bhakti. Thus, we saw the first meaning of bhakti as the love of God in the form of manda bhakti, medium, madhyama bhakti and uttama bhakti. Second meaning of bhakti, as described in our scriptures, is a course of discipline consisting of karma yoga, upasana yoga and jnana yoga in order to attain moksham, in order to attain the final goal of human life, which is liberation, freedom. Having discussed about bhakti, we will include very important and interesting topic of God. Bhakti is defined as the love or devotion towards God. Without understanding the concept, the principle of God, how can we ever discuss the topic of devotion? The integral part of love is the object of love. In fact, you cannot develop love towards anyone, any person or any object without understanding what that object or who that person is. How can I love an unknowing object or a person? It is not possible. Therefore, I cannot talk of love of God without understanding of God, and that is why knowledge of God becomes very, very important. Therefore, we will briefly discuss the nature of God, who is our object of love. Scriptures give three definitions of God, depending upon the maturity and intellectual caliber, intellectual capability of the seeker. Scriptures are very practical. They understand that people will be of different levels. People will be at different levels of maturity. Therefore, the definition for God also has threefold directions, threefold definitions, and it is directed towards people at three levels. We will see the first definition of God. This is for the beginner, that is elementary school level, we can say. Here, the person is very new to spiritual discourse, spiritual discipline. So he is, as far as he is concerned, Upanishads, scriptures teach the definition of God as the creator of the universe. In Sanskrit, Jagat Karta Ishvara, that is Nimitta Karanam Ishvara. We present a simple and easily understandable reasoning. What is that? Any well-designed and a purposeful product must have an intelligent being behind it. He will be the person, he or she will be the person who would have designed this particular product, which is well designed and very purposeful. The more well designed the product is, the more you appreciate the designing of the product and the designing intelligence. Product is very well designed, therefore you appreciate the intelligence behind the product. That is why new products are coming with new designs, so that people will immediately go and buy. So if an ordinary product requires a conscious, intelligent being behind the creation, what to talk of the most purposeful, the most wonderful universe, which is very, very well designed and very purposeful. Some person defined a weed, a small plant. We may feel that weed is of no use. We may immediately, the moment we find a weed in our garden, we pluck it and throw it. But some person defined, a weed is a plant whose purpose is not yet discovered by us. It is not useless, but we do not yet know the purpose of weed. That's it. That means in the whole creation, there is nothing without any purpose. If creation is purposeful and well designed, there must be a super intelligent creator behind it. That intelligent creator is Jagat Karta, is Ishvara, God. Once I identify Ishvara as Jagat Karta, you will visualize God as a person, because all along we only have an experience of any intelligent person, being is known only to us as human being. We are very well conversant and we only know of a human being with intelligence. Therefore, we deal with them for our normal daily day-to-day transaction. Therefore, we imagine a very intelligent personal God who is omniscient and omnipotent, who is responsible for the creation of this Jagat. Since we do not see him around, we safely place him above the clouds, either in Kailasa or Mahavishnu Lokam. We are also safe, he is also safe. Let the God be he or she or both, Ardhanarishwara. There is no problem. This is the God who is the creator, personal God with a special form, with a special name we give. Vaikuntham, we identify, is the place for Vishnu. And Kailasa, we identify the place for Parameshwara. That is where he resides. That's what initially we think. And we have many different forms of Bhagavan, Rama, Krishna, Devi, and so on. The personal form of God as the creator. This is for the beginner. I will call this God as Ekarupa Ishvara. Ekarupa God. God with a specific form and name. As we said, this is for the beginners. Now, the second definition of God. Once you are sufficiently grown up and capable of thinking further, our scriptures present the next definition, the next level of God. God as the cause of the universe. Previously we saw God as the creator. Now we are saying Jagat Karanam, Ishvara. How do we introduce that? It is like this. Suppose I understand God as the creator of the world, from what he would have created. The next question becomes, what is the raw material out of which he must have created this universe? So that is the very obvious question. Any creator can create something only out of raw material. For example, a goldsmith can create ornaments, bangles, chain, etc. only from gold, which is the raw material. Similarly, a potter, he can create a pot only if he has clay. So clay is the raw material for the potter to create clay. We have already defined the potter or the goldsmith like the creator, intelligent creator. Intelligence behind Jagat is the creator. So God as the creator, we already saw. Now in this session, in this second definition, we will see God as raw material. Therefore, without raw material, nothing can be created. If I understand God as the creator of the whole universe, what was the raw material available to God? Because at that time of creation, nothing else was available. No one was available with God. Only God was available. There was not even time and space. It is very, very difficult to imagine such situation. God alone was there. None else. Even space was not there. What to talk of things? That is why in Upanishad it says, Tasmad va etasmat atmana akashas sambhutaha. Scientists say that before the Big Bang, we cannot even conceive of anything. We cannot conceive of time and space. This is what scientists declare. You can talk about time and space concept only after the Big Bang was created. Therefore, even before the creation of time and space and any object, when God alone was there, where is the raw material? Therefore, our scriptures point out that God himself happens to be the very material also out of which the whole world is shaped. Therefore, we say God is the Karanam, the very material out of which the world is created. How do we imagine this situation? The world out of himself. It is very difficult for us to imagine. Scriptures very nicely give an interesting example. Yathornanabhi srijate grindhateja. That is, a spider finds the raw material from its stomach for constructing the web. Similarly, God has created the whole universe out of himself. We do not like the spider, but it is a beautiful example, useful for our study of Vedanta. It does not take any material from anywhere outside. Unlike a bird or an ant or a human being, it finds material in itself. Similarly, God is material cause for the entire universe. He is the material cause. That is Upadana Karanam Ishvara. This raw material alone becomes manifold product. Since God is the raw material, God alone has become the universe. So there is nothing other than God. So if you ask where is God, the whole universe is God. Since the whole universe is God, every form that I know or that I do not know, every form that I see or that I do not see is God. So there is nothing other than God. He is no more a personal God. He is a universal God. He is no more Ekarupa Ishvara. There is no one specific form that can be given to the Lord who himself has become the universe. So everything is Bhagavan. So he is available in all forms. So he is Aneka Rupa Ishvara or Vishwarupa Ishvara, as beautifully explained by Krishna in the 11th chapter of Bhagavad Gita. To have darshan of God, I need not look up at sky. He is available everywhere, here and now. You close your eyes, there is God. You open your eyes, you can see God. There is nothing other than God. Asavyastamro aruna udababhrussu mangalaha eche magum rudra abhito dikshusrita sahasraso vaishagum heda imahe. In Sri Rudram, Lord Shiva is worshipped as the rising sun with different hues. Tamraha, Arunaha, Babruhu, Sumangalaha, all different colors, different hues of the sun, or the very complexion of the Lord. This is the second definition of God for a matured mind. Now the third definition of God. First I say God created the world, Jagat Karta. Then we said He became the world, Jagat Karanam. Once you are ready for the next level, the scriptures give us the third definition of God. This is Jagad Adhishthanam Ishvara. This is the highest, toughest, and this is the final culmination of our knowledge. When we say God has become the universe, has become the world, you will immediately ask, there are ugly things also in this universe. There are diseases. There is coronavirus, which we were dreadful of some time back. Criminals, etc. Are they also God? Supposing I say yes, then you will not have any devotion. As such, the intensity of your devotion is very, very less. So the moment people say that God is also evil, then our mind, our intellect is not used to accept God as a part of it. He is also. So how can I accept evil as God? My mind is still not matured enough. Therefore, I have to do more prayers, I have to do more Shravanam and all those. Then, once I am ready for the third stage, Upanishad says, God does not become the world, God appears as the world with different forms, in varieties of forms. He is not affected by any form in which he appears. He appears as many forms, but he transcends all these forms. God is very substratum of the whole creation. He transcends the entire creation. He is Jagat Adhishthanam. He is the reality, ultimate reality behind the whole creation, but not affected by any of them. Since God transcends all these superficial forms of creation, no particular form can be attributed, can be given, will belong to God. Therefore, God as Adhisthana Ishvara is Arupa Ishvara, because I cannot give any particular Rupam for Bhagavan. He is Adhishthanam. He is substratum. That is formless God. Arupa Ishvara, formless God. In Sanskritam he is known as Abhinna Nimitta Upadhana Karanam Ishvara. Now, what are the three levels? To consolidate, in Sanskrit, God is Jagat Karta. We already saw three definitions for God. In the stage 1, we said God is Jagat Karta. In the next stage, Jagat Karanam. The third stage, Jagat Adhishthanam. In English, He is the creator of the world, the first stage. The second stage is He has become the world. He becomes the world. He is the raw material. And then the final one is God appears as the universe. First stage, Ekarupa Ishvara. God is one form. I give specific form for my convenience of doing puja or upasana. I give a specific form and name. And I also give him different shapes also. 2 legs with 8 hands or 4 hands with 4 faces, 6 faces, Shanmukha, Chaturmukha. So all this, it is my own creation for my convenience. The second stage is many forms, Vishwarupa Ishvara. And the final one is Arupa Ishvara, formless God. We have to understand all these levels gradually. It takes time. In the initial stage, I have to go through Ekarupa Bhakti. I may take long time. And then next stage comes Anekarupa Ishvara Bhakti. And then final stage, my Bhakti will be Arupa Ishvara Bhakti. When I talk of these 3 stages, we should remember the later one, that is Arupa Bhakti, includes Ekarupa Bhakti and Anekarupa Bhakti. They happily worship God. That is Arupa Bhakta, the one who has understood that God appears as world. He has no problem. He happily worships God with any particular form and name. They happily appreciate Lord as the beautiful nature also. That is why Sringeri Jagat Gurus, they do puja, special puja during Navaratri for Ambal, Sharada Ambal. And every day they do Chandramulishwara puja. So that is one form given to Bhagavan. But they have no issues. They are happily doing puja. One does not replace the other two. It is included. Ekarupa Ishvara and Anekarupa Ishvara is included in Arupa Ishvara. It is not a replacement or a displacement theory. Both are valid in their own levels, just as Einsteinian science, Einsteinian physics does not displace Newtonian physics. Both are valid in their levels, in their fields. This is the understanding of God that develops in the mind of a seeker as the time grows, as he studies the scriptures. It may take long time for people to go from the beginner stage to the middle stage and to the final stage. There is no hurry. It will take long time. So there is no shortcut also. Summing up all the topics we discussed, we have 9 forms of bhakti. The first stage is Manda Bhakti, Madhyama Bhakti and Uttama Bhakti. Here bhakti means love of God. Bhavana Drishtya Bhakti Trayam. The second stage is Karma Yoga Rupa Bhakti, Upasana Rupa Bhakti and Jnana Yoga Rupa Bhakti. Here bhakti is spiritual discipline. Sadhana Drishtya Bhakti Trayam. Sadhana Drishtya Bhakti Trayam. The final one is bhakti depends on our understanding of God. Devata Drishtya Bhakti Trayam. Ekarupa Bhakti, Anekarupa Bhakti and Arupa Bhakti. Thus, the word bhakti is used in all these definitions and meanings, and therefore we should understand the context in which bhakti is talked about, and we should grasp the meaning of bhakti in the right context. This is a very important topic, often confusing for some people. Therefore, this attains a lot of importance. With this, I conclude the topic of bhakti. This is very important topic, bhakti. Om Purnamadav Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vasishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti.